How are we doing today, gentlemen?
I might have to... Hey,
Hello.
Destiny, how's it going?
Pretty good. Just hanging out, watching the election.
Yeah, how are you feeling about it at the moment?
I think right now everybody's watching the Florida numbers. Because if
What do you think of them?
well, I think Trump still needs about 100,000 more Republican confirmed voters, and I don't think Miami was putting it. So he has to win Florida to even have a chance forward. So I think that's what everybody's kind of watching right now. I haven't seen if anything new has come out from there yet, though. But last I checked, there were only, I think, 170,000 plus. Oh, it's up to 210 now. So I think he needed.
Yes.
I think it was 250 is what he needed to hopefully win that state, to make him competitive in other states. Is what he was looking for.
Yeah.
But
So it looks like he's on fairly good course at the moment then.
no, right now he's
You don't think
struggling
so?
to stay alive. Yeah, he needs.
Really?
If he doesn't have Florida, it's completely and totally over.
Yeah, he's
And I
only
think
210,000 up. I mean, maybe that'll go up.
well, that the Republican number, I think, needs to hit. Somebody correct me wrong, but I think the Republican number needs to hit 250,000 for him to hopefully maybe win Florida, and then that makes him that puts him at, like, I think, a 30% chance to win for the rest of the election. Then there's like other battles to fight, but the fact that, and I don't know if Miami is even reporting all the way yet for these votes for Florida. So I've heard people say anywhere from 300 to 400K, but I'm going very conservative estimate. I'm going to say if he gets 250, then hopefully hopefully I say for Trump's camp. I mean, obviously I don't want Trump to win, but that's what he would need to. But right now it's not. I don't think it's looking that.
Well, in terms of registered voters,
Well, hang on
in
a
terms of
second.
registered
So,
voters voting, yeah, because of how the polling has gone because independents and NPA is no party affiliation. These people are leaning Biden, so he needs, I think, anywhere from 200 to 400,000 more Republican voters, registered voters, to be voting for him to be considered like having a chance of winning that election.
So
well, that's
what-
contingent on the polling being correct. I mean,
Which it has been
basically-
all through this election cycle, yeah, and the last election cycle, and the one before that. So yeah.
how is it that everyone was predicting Trump to lose by like 90% chance?
So
in the
those
last
weren't
election?
polls;
Polls
those
were
were projections, and the most accurate projections gave Trump about a 30% chance to win. I think that's what Nate Silver gave him in 2016, which isn't like impossible. They got the national polling right on everything in terms of that. But the big thing that they missed in the 2016 cycle was they didn't realize how large the divide would be between college and non-college educated voters. That was like a huge thing that they've corrected for. But you saw people this election cycle, scream about, oh, the polls are wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong. But the whole Democratic primary season rolled around, and all the polling was pretty on, even in states where it was off massively before, like Michigan. So.
Well, I guess we're in for a Biden landslide. I take it you're voting Biden then.
No, I already voted Biden, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So what is it about Biden that attracts you to him?
The most important thing that I think that is on everybody's mind right now is I don't like to think about this, but it's possible that we're still more than a year out from a vaccine. And we have to get the coronavirus shit under control in the United States. And we just don't have any comprehensive leadership for it right now. That's like probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then past that, stuff like healthcare, seeing some progress in that arena would be good. And then there's a whole bunch of other economic policy downstream.
So
from that.
what would Biden do differently to Trump when it comes to the coronavirus?
Having some type of comprehensive top-level federal direction for how we ought to be distancing, the types of contact tracing, if it's possible to do that, and then things like mandates or bullying governors to mandate things like mask wearing, I think would be incredibly effective. We've already seen countries like Australia enact strict lockdowns, destroy the virus, relax those things, and then in places like Victoria have it spring up again, and then redo the
You mean in
lockdowns and
Melbourne,
completely get rid of
where
it.
the police
They
were beating the shit out of
start
people
what
there?
authority?
What?
I was gonna say.
I'm going to say
Well,
Melbourne
hang
was
on a
extremely-
second. So the question is, don't you have a constitution that prohibits this kind of action?
Well, yeah, I guess you'd have to either executive order around it or something. I don't know.
But isn't it kind of
Just go around the Constitution.
It-
Lord.
it- Isn't there
executive
something-
order
Well,
on the
it's-
Constitution?
Yeah, so it's like it's very
Just suspend everyone's rights.
isn't that
Lol.
isn't that a power that's granted by the Constitution?
yeah.
So how could you executive order around the Constitution?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Trump has lost multiple Supreme Court cases now where he's tried to go around the Constitution, and Trump has also flexed his. The president has
But
a
that's-
wide.
that-
The
but
president
that's
has the president has a wide deference when it comes to matters of national security.
Well,
That's how.
Hang on a second. Hang on
yeah?
a second. That's exactly the point. Trump's tried to sign executive orders that would violate the Constitution, so the Supreme Court shoots them down.
Yeah, but he's also, in matters of national security, the Supreme Court seems to give him more deference. So that's how, for instance, Trump was able to take money from Congress and go to try to build the wall or enact tariffs against China. He called those national security, and the Supreme Court let him get away with it. So maybe through national security, they could do something with
How long has the United States existed? as a country?
I don't know what 1776 was independent. I don't know, like 250 years about why.
For 200 years, has this in the entire history of the United States ever been done, even discussed?
Oh yeah, in the 1920 pandemic, we were like incredibly strict when it came to national measures related to lockdown stuff.
Did the president of the United States order cities to shut down?
What do you mean by cities to shut down? We had incredibly strict measures during that.
Well, that's what a lockdown.
No, there were vast differences. Philadelphia, for example, didn't. St. Louis did.
So in the
There was no-
United
there was no
States,
order
in the
from the
United
president of the
States of
United
America
States.
during World War II, we literally rounded up Japanese people and locked them in camps. I think we can figure out how to lock down some cities so that we can get rid of a virus. I think that's possible, right?
Hang on, everyone.
I think that's a possible thing to do. Yeah.
So I think the question isn't whether it's possible. It's possible for a state to do quite a lot of horrific things, like you just said about the internment camps. But why should that be done?
Because I want my country to stop fucking being sick. I want to be able to fucking travel. I want every other country to stop fucking embargoing U.S. citizens because our people are all sick and fucking dying.
What is it that you think is not being done that would?
We don't have
the
consistent.
lockdowns
We don't
didn't
have.
work.
They look at Australia. Look at New Zealand. Look at South
Sweden.
Korea.
You're talking
Sweden
about
did. Wait.
an
Sweden.
isolated
Wait.
place
Sweden.
that
Sweden didn't.
doesn't have an
Sweden
immigration
Sweden
problem.
didn't lock down. What are you talking about?
I know.
Yeah, and they have one of the
any
worst.
problem with the coronavirus.
They do. They have
they
one of
don't.
the one of the worst death rates of all the OECD countries. What are you talking about?
What? No,
They don't.
They
don't at
do.
all.
don't.
Wait, you
They've
know that
been-
we can
they've been
all
really-
look at these numbers, right?
Yes, get the numbers.
Yeah.
Get the numbers that you're looking at, because they're obviously different to the numbers that I'm looking at.
Well, hold on. Let me jump in here, because as always, I'm the eternal centrist. I'm between you guys. I've been looking at some numbers for my upcoming coronavirus video, and what I've noticed is that although there's differences in death rates, the death rates are slowly converging. So what that says to me, just as a layperson, is that lockdowns didn't prevent deaths. It just changed when those deaths happen.
Can you explain?
Precisely.
Can you please explain Australia then?
No, I can't, because...
Okay, because that's a place that did lockdowns. They relaxed them. Victoria had an outbreak. They did lockdowns again, and they got rid of it. You can go and look at the numbers for Australia. All these numbers are like publicly accessible. I don't understand why.
No, I know.
We want to
You're-
see the numbers you're using. That's
You're
the thing.
talking about a geographically isolated continent on the other side of the planet with a tiny population.
Do you think that?
They are
Hold
much
on,
more-
I'll
they are
see
much
if I can
more-
find what I found.
The thing is that there seems to be a lot of no correlation. There are nations that locked down and nations that didn't, and there's a lot of outliers here, and we can
Okay,
argue about whose
what
outliers are
what
better than other
about?
people's outliers.
Do you think South Korea is like an isolated like that's a 60 million population, highly dense city, highly dense country, tons of international traffic?
Yeah, but look,
Tiny,
I put
a
the,
concentrated peninsula with basically a government that it's the
Concentrated,
the size of New Jersey.
concentrated makes it harder to control the spread of a virus. You know that, right?
You're
yeah,
talking about a policy dictated by a government that only has to worry about a small landmass.
It's not about
okay,
small
hang on,
landmass. It's about
hang
a
on.
population of people densely packed together. New York is a small landmass, but they had a fucking ton of deaths. What do you mean?
Yeah, but we're not addressing the problem, which is the like apparent incomparable nature of the data, right? So you get countries like Britain, we had a serious lockdown, and we have a higher death rate than Sweden that didn't have a lockdown, according to the WHO numbers I just put in the chat and that I've got up on the screen, right? Like Italy, France, Spain, and Britain all had lockdowns, worse death rates than Sweden, and Sweden didn't. And now Sweden's daily death rate is virtually nil.
Yeah,
Like, the
Sweden's
other day
is
it was
low
literally
now
zero.
after like a ton of people died. But at
Yeah,
this
but
point,
that-
it's
No,
low.
that's
the
inevitable.
deaths per-
and
the deaths
more
per
people
capita-
died per 100,000 people in my country with the lockdown.
Yeah, because the UK also had a horrible way of handling things. But if you compare the Swedish death rate to comparable Scandinavian
locked down.
countries,
We had a lockdown.
We did a lockdown.
halfway lockdowns don't count and they don't help. That's
It
what the
wasn't a
United States
It
has
wasn't a
done.
halfway lockdown. Everything was locked down.
One second. I did find what I was talking about.
You guys didn't lock down for like months. What are you talking
Yes,
about?
we did.
No,
So
you
you
guys
not-
waited.
Dude, we live here. We know what we did.
Destiny.
3
we live
months.
here.
Everything locked.
Hold on. So I posted what I was talking about, and basically, places that locked down and places that didn't, I think in the long term will have the same death rate. It just depends on when.
Yes.
Or it's doing it, shifting the curve. That's it.
Yeah.
That was the point of flattening the curve. It wasn't to prevent death. It was to make sure that the deaths happen over a longer time.
The idea that you can prevent a virus that is spreading at a population level,
Yeah.
the idea that you can wipe it out is retarded.
Okay, hold on.
reason that
Wait. You guys start. Okay, I'm just trying to look at the exact date. You guys started your lockdown on May 28th.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking retarded. This is months after it was declared like a worldwide pandemic.
We started our lockdown in...
We should move to the next topic. We need to move to the next topic because you guys are you have no fucking idea. Like this is all like insane shit. This is like Alex Jones level shit. Like no, you're literally saying like, oh, we live in the UK. You guys didn't lock down for months after the US, but even the US, it was late to everything. Banned travel for fucking all of Europe. You guys didn't lock down for months after that. You're trying to tell me that New Zealand started to lock down in fucking March? Okay, you guys have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
You were the one who said we didn't lock down, and we did. You just had to Google that. Don't act like an expert on this.
No, I'm not.
Like, come on.
I said did the lockdowns wrong. I'm not saying you didn't lock down at all. I'm saying that you did it late.
We did the lockdowns.
I'm saying you did it late.
You don't know what we did.
Tell me why places. Okay,
Destiny. Where are you getting this? Where are you getting this figure from? Because we locked down on March 23rd.
Okay, all right. March 23rd was still like a month after the travel ban, wasn't it?
You're not arguing from facts, Destiny. Right? You're not. You have just got all of these facts wrong.
So here's a question. So wait. Why does Sweden have 6,000 deaths? Why does Norway have 300? Why does Finland have 400?
I don't know.
We are a country the size of Britain with a population of 4 million.
Hold on a second.
Wait, what does that have to do with anything? Sweden has a population of 10 million people.
Actually, Destiny,
we are twice the size of Sweden. We have half the population density.
I got the figures wrong. We actually locked down on March 16th.
So Argentina locked down very early and has one of the highest death rates. So I don't think there's a correlation.
Okay, it's just crazy.
Sweden had two deaths,
the frustrating thing about arguing this is that other countries have known how to deal with this, and then they dealt with it. But you guys will make up like 52 million reasons why it's just impossible to deal with it.
Yeah, but you don't know that they actually dealt with it because of any of their own agency.
But they did.
Like,
if you look at countries, so Australia is the best example. Australia had an outbreak. They did a lockdown. Then they unlocked down. They had another outbreak in Victoria. They locked down again, and it went away. It's very easy to follow it. It came back. They locked down again, and they got rid of it.
It's an outlier is the problem.
It's an outlier. That whole country's out. What about New Zealand? Is that an outlier? What about South Korea? Is that an outlier?
Well, I think we're talking about Sweden here. Sweden had a lower death rate than France. It had a lower death rate than Italy.
But a higher death rate than every other Scandinavian comparable country.
You do know that our countries are mostly mountainous shrubland, yes? Sweden is the only major metropolitan here, and slightly Denmark.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's the only. It's more densely populated than its neighbors are. Again, we had a lockdown from March until what was it, July?
Stockholm has a population of 975,000 people. Oslo has a population of 634,000 people. Like I don't know. Copenhagen has a population of 569,000 people. Like if you want to pretend that everybody in Norway fucking lives in mountains, like that's fine. You can do that. But
we had a lockdown from March. What was it? March 16th until. When did the lockdown officially end? I think it was July.
I think it was July, yeah.
So we had a more than 3-month complete lockdown. Like there were people you could go outside to exercise. That was it during that period.
Yeah.
You could not, people were encouraged to work from home. You couldn't go to work. Only essential businesses were opened. Everything else was closed. And you could be arrested for traveling without good reason.
But the thing is, the thing that we need to really ask is why are other continents, like Africa doesn't seem to be affected by this at all, really.
I don't have any idea about the reporting or that. I'm just looking at OECD countries. Those are the ones that
I'm Hang on. I'm just looking at the World Health Organization, right? Like, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 3.4 deaths per million. Whereas, in Sweden, 587 deaths per million. In Britain, 690 deaths per million. Like, why is that? Did they lock down? What was... Like picking the one example. Oh, look, Australia fits my model precisely, and therefore, what Australia did was right. I mean,
I don't know what kind. I don't know what kind of testing is available in those countries. I have no idea I don't know anything about how African countries have dealt with this. I'm not sure. I'm only comparing us to OECD countries. I don't care how we do compared to Sudan or Chad. Like.
But it
I think what's happened is you found one example that backs up your point, and now you're hugging it.
I didn't. No, I didn't. It's not just one example.
Even though you admitted that you had no idea how long the
examples are South Korea, which had the exact same first reported case on the same day as the United States. Yes. It's Australia and it's New Zealand. Okay, and then within the United States
are the UK
that have done shitty half-assed lockdowns. The UK. Okay,
we didn't.
I guess it's just. I guess these are all outliers that make your argument. Then all of it are outliers.
What we're saying is we don't exactly know what's causing it to be lethal in certain populations. Although there is data to suggest that there are certain kind of lifestyles that are more heavily and more seriously affected by this, and certain kinds that aren't. You know, it's not, and it's not just as simple as saying lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. That will fix all the problems, because it doesn't. We had lockdowns all across Western Europe, and we still have these problems. And moreover, look at what's happening in Australia. It's full-on police state, full-on tyranny. In aid of
didn't Australia just recently wait, didn't Australia
virus isn't even very dangerous.
Didn't Australia, first of all, it is dangerous to some people.
It's not
it
that
is dangerous to some people.
to pensioners.
There's
to
also the
on,
long-term cognitive effects that people are looking at as well too, where people aren't sure 100% how this is going to affect you in the long term as well.
They don't have to be sure
They don't
100%
know.
because everyone's walking around not sick. If it's a pandemic and I don't see
Also,
everywhere,
isn't
then I
Australia
don't
literally
care.
open right now? Didn't they open it back up? Aren't they fine again? Like, don't we see images of New Zealand, like, literally having stadiums full of, like, 20,000 people where they're out and celebrating and doing things because they don't have to worry about random people dying of this fucking virus?
Like I say, we did have a strict lockdown here, though, and that didn't happen. What I'm saying is that there seems to be no correlation either way. There's a lot of countries that did do lockdowns.
Okay, I mean, man, when you guys publish your epidemiological studies, I'll be super keen on reading it, but I'm going to go ahead and just stick with, like, what the vast majority of the scientific community say right now. Okay?
Destiny,
Thank you for your
You have no
insight.
idea how the UK locks down. You just admitted it.
I know that people have complained about the UK constantly, about the half measures that they've taken and the locking down and the opening up. I know the UK has been one of the worst handled places in Europe. I don't know exactly why, because I don't follow your policy as much as the US and the other more successful
countries. It's had one of the worst
but
death rates, but we have one of the strictest lockdowns.
The UK is one of the worst handled places in Europe. Why is France and Spain in the middle of lockdown riots as they reimpose lockdown? Why is all of Western Europe in a pandemonium right now because of the reimposed lockdowns?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Why are cases rising in those countries again?
They're not
I don't know,
rising.
they're
They're
locked down.
exponentially rising. They're making the United States look like a paradise.
Didn't those Western European countries relax their lockdown measures and the cases started rising again?
Destiny, it doesn't matter.
Isn't that what happened? Isn't that exactly what happened?
Yeah, but isn't that an
you think-
argument
you
for
think-
just taking the Sweden approach?
And just
Isn't the fact that after lockdowns... No, hang on. Isn't the fact that after lockdowns happen, the cases begin rising again? Just an argument for, we obviously can't stop it, so we have to take the Sweden route.
So how many? I'm curious. What percentage of a population dying is worth just relaxing the lockdowns? I'm curious on that.
The thing is, the
20 or
rhetoric
30?
there.
What correlation is there? From what we've seen across countries, there is no correlation. You could point to examples of countries that locked down and had better success, countries that locked down and didn't have success, and vice versa. There appears to be no correlation.
So do you think? So okay, I'm just curious, just so we're all on the same page. So do you think that we have no idea? There's just no possible way to slow the spread of this virus through any country. No one knows anything that would be effective. It's all just outliers.
No one said that, but that's the most extremist position that you could take on it.
So I'm curious because you guys are saying that all the examples cited are outliers. So do you think?
I'll explain. We'll just do what Sweden did, which was take reasonable measures to social distance. Obviously, sanitize our hands and wear masks if necessary in, certain public spaces, whatever. Take reasonable measures, but not close all of our businesses.
Okay. I mean,
seems like a reasonable middle ground.
My understanding is that Sweden has suffered about as much economic damage as any other country that didn't do a strict lockdown.
No,
I don't know if that changed recently. It's possible that changed recently. But
no, they had growth during the times we were having recession.
Okay.
They have grown much better than their neighbors have as a result of not locking down.
Was actually critical of the Swedish model going in. I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty brave and ballsy." But turns out they rolled the dice. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything went the way they claimed, but it seems that compared to us, they seem to have done a lot better.
Okay, I'm just because I don't have all this data offhand, but I'm just like googling around really quick, and that seems to just be completely not true. That Sweden suffered like more than Denmark did, almost. It looks like.
There is they suffered no disruption to their society.
They suffered economy. They literally had like a fucking like. Okay, all right. What's the next?
This conversation is killing.
Yeah, I agree. If anybody wants to be like somewhat informed of this, Potholer does a bunch of really great videos related to the coronavirus and all of the insane fucking bullshit that gets spewed about how we have no idea how to control it. We need herd immunity and all this great. I would super recommend. He's got like 4 or 5 videos that he's done on it so far. Potholer is a really, really well-informed guy. There's a lot of really good scientific institutes out there that talk a lot about it. Yeah, I would recommend doing that instead of getting your information from YouTubers, but that's just what I say.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the election, Destiny?
Like on what? Like on who's going to win, or people that I like?
Well,
or?
just I don't know. Just any whatever's on the front of your mind regarding it. Like what you think that's interesting that people haven't been talking about.
Interesting that people haven't been talking about. I think it's funny that people on the left accuse Biden of being far right, and people on the right accuse Biden of being far left. That's an interesting talking point.
Where do you peg Biden?
Biden is I would say, relatively left-leaning progressive person, but I would say he's like left of like moderate Dems. I don't think he's as far left as like the Squad, like AOC, or definitely not Bernie. But
Do you think that he's vulnerable to the political machinations of the Squad, though?
absolutely not. No.
You don't think so? You don't think that any critical race theory will be advanced under his watch or anything like that?
All the things that happen in the United States, I can't think of a less relevant thing to our political discourse than critical race theory. But I don't think that Biden is subject to pressure from a wing of the Democratic Party that lost so brutally in the primaries. I don't think they have anywhere near as much political sway as online people seem to think they do.
Why is Kamala Harris tweeting out videos about equality of outcome then?
Because equality and equity are things that Democrats fight for historically in the United States.
One
What do you
last
mean?
thing to-
Yeah, but
One last thing to fact check Destiny on with the
equity.
figures here. The Eurozone had a recession on average of 12.1%.
Cool.
Sweden had a contraction in the same quarter of 0.6%.
Awesome.
Okay. But
You were
but-
wrong.
So, well, yes,
Wait, isn't
but-
Sweden
so
part of the
hang on.
Eurozone? Sweden's not even
No,
part
no,
of
no,
the Eurozone.
we're not going back to
But,
coronavirus
okay, yeah, go ahead.
talk. So you don't think that Joe Biden will be in any way susceptible to the arguments, rhetoric, or agenda of the radical left, even though Kamala Harris is tweeting up videos about equality of outcome?
What do you mean by equality of outcome?
Well, she literally said she wanted everyone to have the same outcome.
Can you link me this? I don't believe this.
Sure.
I just want to say it. I'm curious.
Sure.
Oh yeah, there was actually a pretty
timeline.
powerful video, wasn't there? Like yesterday or something? It was like a short 30-second clip or something.
Yeah. I had it on yesterday's stream.
video,
I'll just grab it for you. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Just trying to find it, presumably embedded in a news article or something. So there have been a bunch of these. I don't want to give you a sort of Daily Mail article.
It was a video she tweeted on Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
That talks about moving
I'm
towards,
just hoping it is embedded in.
I wish I had time. I'm not usually because I haven't done
But yeah,
talking to
in-
conspiracy theorists for so much. I'm just looking at like GDP contraction. Sweden was 8.3%.
Look, no, I don't
Finland
wanna
was
talk about the
4.5%. Denmark was
Okay,
6.8%.
yeah, okay,
Norway was
okay,
5.
we-
I wish
we
I could
can
fact
talk
check
about
this
this
real
on
time.
another
But yeah,
stream.
okay, sure. Okay, I know. It's just-
Because I would like to go over this with you. on another stream.
Sure, yeah, we
found
can.
the
I wish I
video.
had.
I'll link it.
Oh yeah, if you could please.
Okay, what am I? Kamala Harris blasted on Twitter for meddling her communist propaganda. All right.
Yeah, so it's this video here that I'm getting up on the screen that you probably can't see, but you can get up yourself.
Let's check. Hold
So-
on. Sounds just like Karl Marx. Kamala's blasted peddling a communist propaganda after tweeting video. Oh, so this wasn't anything she said. This was her retweeting a video?
She didn't retweet it.
It's not
she
a
just tweeted
retweet.
it.
Yeah, she tweeted it herself.
Don't you guys always say whenever Trump
Well,
tweets
hang on,
out
hang on.
stupid videos or some shit that like, oh, that's just a video that doesn't mean he supports everything in it? I haven't watched it.
no,
I'm just curious.
I don't say
Okay,
that.
I would almost bet my life that
I
you
don't
in
say
particular
that. You
have.
can
But
go
I'll
and
check.
go and look. Go and get your
It's-
little minions to look.
it's-
I
I
don't
think there's a slight difference though.
It's a
between-
video
Okay.
she made. It's her voice. She's
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's better. That's better. If it's her video, that's better. Okay. I was just making
She's the one speaking in it, and the
Yeah.
important bit is frame 34 seconds in, where it says equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place.
Okay, give me 50 seconds. I'm gonna mute and let's listen to this. Okay. Have fun. I'll be
Okay.
back 1 second.
All right.
Between equality and equity. Equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. The problem with that, not everybody's starting out from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we can get the same amount, but you're still gonna be that far back behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place.
Well, hang on. No.
This sounds like the least offensive, most inline equality of opportunity message that I've heard said a million
But
times.
it
over.
is not equality of opportunity, though.
She was talking about equity of outcome at the end there, I think.
She wasn't. She said end up at the same place. It doesn't mean equal outcomes. She means be given the going by the rest of what's said in this video. She's talking about making sure that people are starting from the same place. That people start from the same
She
footing.
literally says there's a big
that-
difference between equality and equity in the title.
She literally says there's a big difference between giving people equal things and making sure they have equal opportunity. That's what she literally says. I can't believe you can't. This is like an English 1 high school assignment and figuring out what the video means. It's not that
know
hard.
you're
Do
angry
you
man like
honestly
Destiny, but
look at the
equality
term?
versus? Do you understand what the word equity means?
can mean a lot of different things. It depends on what you're talking about.
Wriggle, 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 wriggle.
I'm not wriggling. What do you mean? You want to talk about equity in a business? You want to talk about equity in idea? Like, what do you mean? Equity, you mean a ton of different things. What do you mean?
Destiny's talking about they're talking about equity in society,
But
equality, and
she's literally saying we should all end up at the same place.
Why would she
In the
use
same
words?
conditions.
Why would she use words like so that we can all compete on equal footing?
here's a quote: "Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place." Boom.
Why would she say compete on equal footing if we're all meant to end up at the same place? That maybe if we use
Here's the frame from the video, Destiny. I know this is reading 101. I know this is high school stuff, but here it is, Destiny.
I'm literally watching the video. She says, and then compete on equal footing. Why would you Why would you need to compete on even footing? Why would you need to compete if you're all going to get the same shit?
Well, I agree. I agree that her message is poorly phrased, but I think that the conclusion that she reaches is more important than the garbled way that she gets there.
Those are quite literally the last words in the video. Equitable treatment means we all end up in the same place.
This election is fun for me because this is 4 years since I've entered politics. This is one of my biggest complaints about doing online politics, especially with other big online political figures, is I don't think I've had almost a single debate on any relevant actual issue. Instead, I have to sit here and talk to people that can't even discern what the fuck the political message is.
Tell me
I
the
think it would be.
issue.
I
know you're angry, Destiny, but it literally says
I'm
it
not
right
angry
there
at all.
the
I don't
end
give a
of the
fuck.
video.
At the end of the day, I'm fine. I'll still make my money. But I'm just saying that, like, when you look at a video like this, the debate topic is, do we need to provide uneven amounts of resources to different people in order to give them equal footing to compete in society? That's what the argument is. But instead, you guys have turned this into, like, well, they want every single person to be even at the end. That's not what's being said in this video. It's not
Equitable
even the
treatment
argument.
means we all end up in the same place.
Do you think that if you just keep repeating the
racial
same line over and
discrimination really justified for that?
Is racial discrimination justified? I mean, I guess it depends on the context of what we're talking about.
Well, this is the context.
Is it racial discrimination to assume that a black person might have like sickle cell anemia and a white person might not? Is that racial discrimination? I mean, it depends on what you mean. Like, if you want to throw that word around like a hammer to try to win an argument, I guess.
What Kamala Harris is saying here is that equitable treatment means we all end up in the same place.
Do you want to like write down the script of the whole video to get what the message is about?
All right, it's fine if you don't want to answer.
It's frustrating because I know that this is a bad faith argument from you guys, but like literally reading this video, equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. Oh, the problem with that is not everybody's starting out from the same place. Oh, cool. It sounds like this is talking about recognizing that people start from different areas, so people need different things. And then it says, if you start out back there and I start out over here, we get the same amount, and then it keeps going, but you're going to be ahead of me and I'm going to still be behind you. It's about giving people the resources and support that they need so that everybody can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. This is such a non-controversial take. I can't believe you've turned this into, they want to make the outcome the same for everybody. Like, that's such a forehead.
That is the direction they're going in, and they're going to use racial discrimination and just giving money to racial groups to do it. That seems deeply immoral to me. I don't see how a liberal can stand by that.
Do you think it's not immoral to literally tell people where they can or cannot live for generations in the United States, and then when the whole population of people is fucked, be like, oh, well, no more race policy. I guess we're all done now.
it could be totally, but what I'm saying
Gentlemen,
is it's
I believe
immoral.
we've had a state called.
Sorry? Oh, have we?
I think somebody said Indiana.
We have 2 states called, actually, for some reason, on the Real Clear Politics thingy.
Which one was it? Indiana, did you say?
The BBC's calling 4.
Okay, well, on Real Clear Politics, they're calling Kentucky for Trump and Vermont for Biden, which seems odd.
They seem fairly predictable. Not as high as one would have liked for Trump, though, in Kentucky. Disappointed.
So I'm curious, do you think that different resources should be provided for people at different stages in society?
Yeah, but I don't think that discrimination should be done based on race because I'm not an American.
Is there anything in this video that implies that it would be race-based? Do they say that?
Oh, we know it's going to be race-based, don't we?
Do you know that from the video?
Oh, yeah, because
the guy who's demonstrated as underserved is black, and the guy who's overserved is white.
And is that the narrative? Is that not the narrative that the Democrat Party is constantly trotting out whenever discussing these issues?
I think that affirmative action is a very, very, very small subset of what the Democratic Party talks about. I think it's generally like working class people and poorer people is generally what we're talking about.
But nobody asked what in totality did the Democratic Party talk about. They asked in this regard, with this subject,
Hang
do they do it based on race? And the answer is yes, and you know that.
When you talk about things like related to tax cuts, which are some of the biggest things that Trump's been criticized on, that has nothing to do with race. When you talk about like supporting like educational institutions, or when you talk about like the Affordable Care Act, these things don't have to do with race. These are the biggest democratic policies when it comes to evening out the playfield. Things like taxes, things like the ACA, these aren't race-based policies.
But even though it might be a small thing, this is evil in my view. I mean, I linked you this job here. I applied for this with 2 different accounts, and one of them where I said who I wasn't. I changed my race and my gender. I got a call back. The one where I said who I was, I didn't. Because if you're white and you're not poor and not disabled, you cannot apply for this job in the UK. How is that justified? How is that not repugnant?
Are you asking me to answer for your one-off anecdote? Dude, I can't possibly argue with you there.
I'm asking you about affirmative action.
You want to know what I think is evil? I have 20 black friends, and they all applied for jobs, and they got called the N-word, and they said they weren't going to hire them because they're black. How can you answer that? Oh, looks like I won that debate. All right, what's the next topic? What's the next topic? Come on, dude. I'm not gonna answer your one-off story. I'm not gonna answer your one-off story. I don't know, and I don't care.
It's not a one-off story. It was the hiring policy of the BBC for a number of jobs.
And it's asking you about the principle of the thing. Is it not wrong to have race as a criterion for hiring?
Generally, I think when it comes to like race and gender, I think that's usually pretty weird. But again, it's a small subset of the entire democratic economic policy. So it's not something that's like a killer point issue.
If it was a small subset of the Republican Party to say the N-word to black people who apply for jobs, it would be really repugnant. And everyone would say that's terrible. No, I'm not saying that you're responsible for this or anything like that.
No, I don't really care about that either. I don't really care about racist Republicans. I'm looking at policies. Yeah, I'm looking at overall like policies. I'm not looking at like some evil mean things that some people do. That's like a small part of the platform.
Do you think this is bad? It's weird that this doesn't bother you, because for me, this is the kind of racism that can't just be overlooked.
It's not about whether. It's not about. Hold on. It's not about whether or not something bothers me. There's a lot of things about the Democratic platform that I'm not 100% on board with. For instance, I really like guns, and Democrats probably want to ban all guns if they had the opportunity to. I know Hillary Clinton did, but that's not like the most important fucking issue for me. There are some ways that I think are good to do affirmative action, and there are some ways that I think are bad to do affirmative action. But you know what? At the end of the day, affirmative action is a subset of a subset of a subset of a different type of policy that somebody can do. I'm way more concerned with things like tax cuts, with things like healthcare, with things like funding for infrastructure or schools. These are way more important to me than whether or not some college accepts 3 people into their fucking administration because they're fucking black. It's just a way smaller.
This was important to me. That's why I brought it up.
That's because you're probably you're probably middle class and well off, so you don't give a fuck about most of these larger issues. So the only thing you care about is whether or not affirmative action exists. Okay, that's fine. If you really want to get super black-pilled on this, here's like a super big tip. Okay, minorities in the United States fucking hate affirmative action because affirmative action has generally going to benefit middle-class white women. There's like your huge fucking black pill if you want, okay? So, but at the end of the day, like affirmative action is such a minor issue compared to the other massive economic and healthcare issues we're talking about that it's just not something that I'm going to cast a vote on.
So we can get rid of it then, without any particular concern, right?
For affirmative action? If you have other policies in place, affirmative action is not something that I care that much about.
Okay, well, Destiny, thanks a lot for joining us. This has been really entertaining, and
all right,
I'd love to talk to you about the coronavirus stuff another time.
Sure thing. Remember, Potholer, guys, check out his videos. A lot of good reporting, a lot of good videos on coronavirus. Don't trust anything a YouTuber tells you about it. I love you guys. Be careful.